Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to a special Saturday morning rousing edition of Libservative Intellectual Idiots, fostering political and cultural literacy. Bella Body Snatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
And we gotta offer an apology first and foremost to all of our rabid fans that we didn't warn you that we were putting off our show until Saturday morning. But we actually just wanted this was planned the whole time. We just suck at letting you know these things. We just wanted to wait until after all the confirmation hearings were done so we could sit here and go over all of the lowlights, and we have a lot of videos to go over. But I guess we could start with a little housekeeping as far as like what else is going on in the world, Corey, before we jump into the meat of this episode.
The meat.
You get the declassification. Declassification of the JFK, RFK, MLK files. That's fun.
Yeah, and we're actually working on getting a friend of the show who also has a podcast who has the most extensive collection of that I know of, at least especially personally, of like all the files, the compilations of all the different scenarios and angles and interviews and everything that has to do with the JFK assassination. And I'm gonna give him a shout out. It's Out of the Blank podcast. At this point, that guy probably has like 100 hours of talking to different people about the assassination, all the different scenarios, to most finite, intricate details, the shit that like for me, just a regular layman in this area of expertise doesn't really know shit. I still like the idea that it was the Secret Service guys were drunk and accidentally popped a shot and hit him. I know it's a debunked conspiracy, but it's just my favorite because it's like the easiest, most simplest one. But he, like, even the simple things of like what happened to JFK's brain, like, do you know, like his brain is missing and shit, and like the random weird shit around this whole conspiracy. This guy is neck deep in this stuff, and I want to get him on here because the JFK assassination is going to be relevant again when all this stuff comes out.
He has explored all of the conspiracy theories in detail. And I just use the term conspiracy theories just for lack of a better term when it comes to this.
Shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe. Sonny, you gotta be kidding me. I got boxes full of Pepe.
That's actual audio from Robbie. That's what nobody knows.
Right? Yeah, we're going to try to get Robbie on here soon.
We got the shake up at CNN, putting Wolf Blitzer on in the morning. That's really going to revive his career. I think.
I already forgot the guy's name because I don't watch any of those media outlets. But
you've done a hell of a lousy job.
Another guy got let go from there. What was his name?
I don't know, dude. I lost track. I know like Jake Tapper and Wolf and John King because he's awesome with the fucking board during the elections. It's about like that's like the only redeeming quality left in CNN at this point is just John King getting hammered and just guiding us through the map.
I don't know, actually. CNN's best redeeming quality is definitely the New Year's Eve show.
You know what? Honestly, it's not bad. It's like the only time I'm like willing to
because that's raw and real. Like, you know what I mean? Like the facade is gone.
Was CNN the one that had Whitney Cummings on this year? It was CNN, right? She was on with Anderson and them. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't was getting that wrong.
Yeah, it's CNN and MSN, like in mainstream media, and like the way they do their show. It's really funny how like everyone was cool with it until someone pointed out it sucked. Like just like Dane Cook. Everyone loved fucking Dane Cook. He was on a roll.
I never did.
I
never did. I always saw right through his act. I'm just going to get on stage and yell for an hour and people will think it's funny.
Yeah, and he just says things, right? Like it's just his delivery, and then all of a sudden SNL comes out with a joke about his bit, and then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it does suck."
He does kind of suck.
Like,
I
you know
saw
what
right through that the entire time.
I'm just gonna bring a chair everywhere. I'm just gonna bring a chair, and then when everyone goes, "Why do you got a chair?" It's like, because I can sit here.
Did you see all of the
That's kind of what Dane Cook did.
Did you see all of the NPCs losing their shit over Trump taking away security from Fauci and John Bolton? And then not only is that funny on itself, but did you see Trump's response? When he goes, yeah, they've made a lot of money. They can hire their own security if they really need it.
Dude, we're back in the era of Trump, like,
point.
and it's so funny, right? I guess it shows like our mature, like, not even want to use the word maturity because like it feels like it's a slight against people who haven't reached that level yet. But like, after you just like everyone, I feel like there's a large swath of the country that kind of went to sleep when Trump was gone. Everyone got fired up. Like everyone was paying attention to politics and putting everything under a microscope. And that's fucking great for a country like ours. The people got to hold the government responsible, right? But a bunch of people kind of went back to sleep when Biden came into presidency because it was quiet.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. He's a bad person.
But now Trump's back. And now we're going to start seeing all of the freakouts and everything happening again.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
Kyle Kalinske,
and the
Kyle
wild
Kalinski's on fire on Twitter right now. Just
and
roll
the wild shit that he says, like the completely absurd things that he says, where it's like, dude, you can think that, sure, but you don't say that. Like, for example, recently,
they're cheating, they're crooked,
journalist
they're
asked him,
corrupt.
"Are you gonna visit the site, the crash site for the Philadelphia plane crash?"
You mean you want me to go swimming?
Yeah, which people died. It's the biggest disaster plane crash like in history for like 24 years or something like that in our country. And
another one last night in Philly, by the way.
And they go, "Are you gonna visit the crash site?" And he goes, "What? Do you want me to go swimming?" Like, what the fuck are you even talking about?
Yeah, that was pretty rough. Not his best moment, I guess.
Hey, what do you want me to
I really
go
don't know
swimming?
what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
This just in, we need to have. That's what we need is a breaking news soundbite. This just in.
That's radio for two.
Trump's afraid of swimming in frigid water.
Was that a headline? Was that a real headline?
No, I just
please tell me that was real. Oh, okay, because it sounds.
I
like
could write news. News is easy.
Yeah, especially headlines. Just be a headline writer. It's just you're basically just an internet troll at that point.
Like that. I think about that. It's like, dude, I could probably make a killing at the Onion or Babylon Bee.
How about Lauren Boebert already fucking up the new bathroom policy at the Capitol? She tried to call somebody. She tried to call a quote unquote trans woman out for walking into the women's bathroom, and it was a real woman.
Yeah, it was a real woman. It wasn't even a trans woman. Dude, that Democrat missed the perfect, because I'm assuming it was a Democrat that went in.
I have no clue. I don't know if they said.
She just said that this woman who was a real woman. Oh fuck. I don't know. That sounds like
that's probably the wrong terminology. A cis woman.
A cis woman.
Yeah. There you go.
We're all learning. A cis woman walks
together
into the women's bathroom and she says, "Oh, she's trans." That cis woman should have absolutely said, "Did you just assume my gender?"
Yeah, dude. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, is Lauren Boebert just like scoping out the bathroom at the Capitol every day? Is that like what they do when they're in recess? She's just standing across from the bathroom, monitoring it like a hall monitor in school.
During these hearings, when she's in there supposed to be paying attention to like minute details and like focusing on doing what's good for her constituents and doing everything that's right, her notepad is just a list of trans and normal. Like she has in her notepad it's just a list, and she's in there jocking, like looking at everyone in the fucking Congress, like in the room, the rotunda, and going, "All right, yeah, that one's definitely trans." This one over here, normal. She's sitting there, and like someone, like they're having a conversation with some of her like counterparts.
When you,
and one of them goes,
Corey, when you say,
"Yeah, I got lacrosse after this,"
normal,
you see her.
when you say normal, you're using her language. Just
Yeah,
so we're clear.
yeah. Obviously, I'm putting myself in her shoes. It's improv, baby.
Yeah.
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
Some chick is like, yeah, I got rugby after this. She goes, oh, really? Trans. like, is that what she's doing? Like,
You're fired. Get out of here.
she brought in a fucking game trail cam, put it in the hallway across from the women's bathroom.
She just made herself the security guard of the women's bathroom at the Capitol. Oh, Lord.
Meanwhile, who's watching the men's?
Honestly, yeah, well,
Who do you
and honestly,
who's got the job of watching the men's restroom? Who do you think it is?
oh, it's got to be. You know, I don't know. She might be. You know what? She might be the Boebert might be the overall bathroom czar. She's just the czar of the bathrooms at the Capitol, appointed by Donald Trump.
Republicans talking about
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
And then making it larger.
Who is the act like is it the trans congressperson from Delaware, the trans woman? She was like I forget her name's slipping my mind right now, but she's like, yeah, this was kind of predictable. And I kind of agree. It's here on this.
Who is the trans congresswoman? First trans.
Sarah McBride. Sarah McBride. I knew her name was here there.
But yeah, she goes, this was predictable.
And she's kind of right. Like, it really kind of was predictable.
Yeah, obviously.
Ross Ulbricht is going to break his silence soon. I actually can't wait for that. I really want to hear from that guy, like really bad.
I mean, yeah, sure. I would like to hear from him. I'd like to hear like on the legal aspect of how they like pressured him and stuff like that. But like other than that, it's like, yeah, I made a website. People sold drugs on it, and they busted me for it.
Did you guys see that Stephen A. Smith is based now? He's on Bill Maher, and he's like basically talking about how he regrets voting for Kamala Harris.
Oh man, why am I not?
I'm putting words in his mouth. I don't think he's the really loud black dude on ESPN. It was on with Skip Bayless for a while.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. You know him if you saw him, and especially if you heard him.
I think I already picture his face.
He's all based now. He was on Bill Maher talking shit about the Harris campaign. Biden inducted into a historically black Masonic lodge.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
There's not really much more to say. That's just silly. Trump's going to go to war with Colombia. That'll be a fun day. What else you got here? Oh, I've been sports red pilled officially, gentlemen. I have been red pilled about the NFL. It is absolutely rigged after watching the Chiefs Bills game last week. I went, you know what? It's true. There's no way to hide this anymore. They're not trying to hide it anymore. Take my Sundays back next year.
Okay, so are you gonna pull a Trump if the Lions go to the Super Bowl and
demand a recount?
No, and they win, then all of a sudden you get like, yeah, this is fair. This is a free and fair game.
No, it'll probably still be rigged. It's a great storyline. It's a great Vince McMahon storyline. If the team that's been horrible for so long, they finally get good, but they just miss getting to the mountaintop, and then finally they have their 50 years of redemption. It's a great WWE storyline to have the Lions win the Super Bowl. And I'm not a fan like you guys are. I'm still jaded by that team until they win a Super Bowl.
Well, to be fair, definitely I guess I would fall into the class of a fair weather fan.
Yeah.
I didn't start hopping on and really watching them until they came back from that. Was it like a 1-7 season? And then all of a sudden it like fucking switched. I started watching, like, I think I saw like the second win because I just had it on because I was watching homework and I was like, oh shit, the Lions won. And then I just would put the game on while I was doing homework, and then all of a sudden I seen them go on this wild fucking streak. And then the next season they're going to the NFC. That's when I really started like investing in the team.
You got radicalized.
I got radicalized, yeah. That's what but yeah, I've always been a college football fan.
The CIA now favors the lab leak theory officially. Slow down. way to catch up, CIA.
Oh, yeah, I had that one written down too. How about this winter boots thing?
Oh, Jesus. Honestly, I kind of love it because it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's like it's so funny because you have like traditional conservatives out there that like, because the what is it, the cute winter boots hashtag, which is supposed to be some dissident thing, which is not. It's really just another way to signal that you hate capitalism. But you have like all the conservatives out there that are like, dyed in the wool 2A gun owners that are like, yeah, we've been trying to tell you need to buy guns to protect against the tyrannical government for a really fucking long time. Like, way to catch up.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really funny.
Like, yeah, we're actually all very happy that you are buying guns.
Slow down.
But yeah, it was just like seeing it as like it's kind of annoying, like especially because the left, and this is why I think I find it annoying. These same people for years have been making fun of people on the right talking about organizing, and the militias and the 1%er, or not 1%ers. 1%ers is motorcycle clubs, the 3%ers, and all these people getting together and creating these little militia groups. The left, for a very, very long time, called them LARPers.
Yeah.
And now, but they actually at least went out in the fucking field and went out with the boys and like would shoot their guns and blow out some tannerite and drink a bunch of beer after.
And let's be very clear, they were LARPers.
They were LARPers.
They weren't wrong.
Now, these winter boots people are doing the same fucking thing. They're not even going out and doing it physically. They're just doing it on social media. And it's not
like
any change.
They'll do a TikTok video and they'll like
just blowing up their own fucking land. They're not even doing it on government property. They're doing it on their own property. They bought it and then blew it up, which is kind of silly. And then they could be using it for other things. And
like when liberals
are doing the same thing, but they're not even going outside. They're just sitting on TikTok and making videos of like talking about cute winter boots, acting like they're doing some sort of code, but it's not really, because they still want people to see it, with putting certain letters in all caps within their messages to get the message out of what they're trying to do. And
you've done a hell of a lousy job.
And I feel like I wasn't going to talk this much shit about it before January 29th, because that's when they said the day that this shit was going to go down. Because I made the mistake of talking a lot of shit online before January 6th 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Rumors, and they were all saying January 6th shit's going to happen. And I remember commenting to people, y'all ain't going to do shit. Well, January 6th came and they did do shit. And so I wasn't going to do that again for January 29th. But now it's February 1st and they didn't do shit.
Well, that's because these are the type of people that they just talk a big game online. Like half the TikTok videos are like, there's like a rifle in the background. There's like a rifle in the background and be like, we're talking about these cute winter boots. And I'm sitting there going like, have you even touched that thing? Like, or did you just bought that, pulled it out of the box and set it up behind you?
Well, that's the other reason why I wasn't downplaying the 29th. I feel like there's a lot of bluster, but don't just discount it completely, because there's a lot of leftists in this country. The membership of the SRA, which is like the counterpart to the NRA, which is the Socialist Rifle Association, their numbers have increased. And people who are true leftists, and not the liberals, but true leftists who follow Karl Marx, even Marx himself said the workers, the workers must be armed. I forget what he says, but he says like for workers to gain true freedom or something, the workers must be armed. I don't know the exact quote, but
yeah, I know a quote you're talking about. Wouldn't it be really? I shouldn't say funny, because funny, it won't be funny. It'll be a travesty. But like, wouldn't it be like really ironic if something did happen and then now all of a sudden we have the MAGA crowd calling the left domestic terrorists for their opinions, just like the left has done to the right for like, that's the whole thing about this fucking
that could be a prediction for 2026 or something like that, dude, because that's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, we would have to wait till something happens, which hopefully it doesn't. We're like, knock on wood, we're not rooting for this, but just like,
maybe we should just allow duels back.
Yeah, I would prefer it be done.
Like fucking the gladiators and the Roman times, just buy a bunch of land, let the fucking leftists and the 3%ers go out in the woods and
just see Corey
do
with
their
his
thing.
broadsword.
For me, I wouldn't be out there. I wouldn't be out there. I'd just be watching the live stream.
like the high school fights.
Right. Yeah. Just have a bunch of trail cams set up.
Has anybody checked on Selena Gomez? Is her ego okay? Is she going to be okay? It's just like
I don't know.
Everybody by now has seen this video, right? Like, I'll play it anyway, just for shits and giggles. I wasn't originally going to play it. Then last minute, I was like, let's go ahead and pull this up. Selena Gomez faking it, crying, wah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
Is that why you can never date an actor, Dan? They might be faking it.
Only people are getting attacked. Children.
Oh, the children.
I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do.
Nobody's ever been hit like that.
Try everything I've.
Oh, the
Yeah, it just
children. Oh, it's
takes
replaying.
enough.
It's replaying.
I'm so sorry.
We don't have to watch
Shut
that
up.
again.
Shut up.
It seems inauthentic to me. And especially, and this is why,
Incredibly so.
just hopping on Instagram and doing that and her saying like she can't do anything or anything. And it's like, if you're really upset, you sure as shit could do a hell of a lot more than we could or anyone else, other random person. You have a huge bully pulpit. You have a ton of resources. There are so many grassroots organizations out there that are for the people that would be there to help to deal with these types of situations.
I'm so
Work a group
sorry.
that
I wish
helps
I could
give
do
people.
something, but I can't.
Create an organization that hires lawyers that could be immigration lawyers. Like, there's so many things you can do.
Yeah. And
But
You
the
look
first
at-
thing you
you-
could do, you know what the first thing you could do is you could donate money to what's his name? Faiz Shakir, because the DNC is going through a current rebrand right now. Okay.
Only people are getting attacked.
Like, did you hear how the DNC is trying to do a rebrand?
vaguely, you've probably looked into that a little bit more than myself, but yeah.
Yeah, so they're trying to get a new like head of the DNC, right? The DNC chairman. And there's this guy named Faiz Shakir, and he's going against two other guys, like Whitlam or Martin and Wickler. And this is from
It's like a law firm.
right. There was the two other guys running, right? And so this Faiz Shakir guy, he has called for sweeping changes within the party, such as more coordination with labor unions and less focus on minority groups sorted by race and gender. He's the only Muslim.
We actually, before you
ahead.
finish that, we have some actual audio from Shakir that when he first spoke to the DNC.
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
Sounds just like Trump. It's bizarre. It's fucking uncanny.
He's the only Muslim seeking the chairmanship, and Shakir was alone during a candidate forum this week in opposing the creation of a Muslim caucus at the DNC. But he has struggled to gain traction. Shakir declined to raise money for the contest, decorating his modest booth at this week's gathering with pictures drawn by his young children with crayons. By contrast,
Cute.
Martin and Wickler hosted would-be supporters in large hotel suites adorned with dozens of professionally printed signs and offered t-shirts, sunglasses, and food. And like that right there tells you that the DNC didn't learn shit. This guy is pointing out all the issues within their party and going, we need to focus on labor. That's how the fucking Republicans won last time. Like, we need to focus on labor.
But
Like,
they're
if we
too
had a
focused
party that
on-
actually just focused on labor, and then we had a party that focused on fiscal discernment and government encroachment on personal liberties, then there would be room for catering to big business.
And that's why
Like, if it, go ahead.
that's why these limousine liberals like Selena Gomez, they are so first of all uninformed. This isn't just Selena Gomez. We're picking on her now because that video was hilarious, but they're so, not only are they uninformed, they're just so incurious. And we're going to actually, to set up what we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show, That is the theme that you are going to see from so many of these questions at these confirmation hearings. Is just the the incuriosity and the unbelievable hypocrisy. Not that it matters that we call that out, as Jon Stewart likes to say, but yeah, you look at somebody like Selena Gomez going online and doing this. Like, I feel this, and it's not even just Selena Gomez. Anybody, seriously, if you are sitting there this upset about something to the point where you're crying, but you have the wherewithal to pick up your phone and open Instagram and record yourself crying, fuck you. Fuck you to the moon.
That type of shit, right? Like when people record themselves helping a homeless person to make themselves look better, but you're literally embarrassing someone who's like homeless.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't.
And again, that's why I challenge our listeners to, like, next time you see a homeless person or you do any sort of act of goodness or intentionally try to go out of your way to do something good for somebody, but don't fucking post it. Keep it a secret.
They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
Not my secret now, but it's like that's what I like intentionally try to do. Like, don't blatantly say you're doing good shit just so you can get a couple likes on Instagram.
It's nice, but nobody cares. That's the thing. Like, it's cool that you're doing that, but like nobody needs to know that you did that. Nobody cares.
In the wake of Democrats' losses in November, it has become conventional wisdom that the party has a media problem. But Shakir frames this issue as a platform and messaging problem.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's going to lose.
Oh, my God.
So that's
lose. The whole platform and messaging thing is dishonest.
Well, no, he's talking like the platform and messaging. He's talking about like the platform should be like helping like the labor, because that's the whole thing.
Okay. I got you. Yeah.
Like the working class, the blue collar folk. Like it's not about
you mean the white racists? The racists? Right. That's what that means. If it, like working class just means white supremacist.
Right.
I think you want to talk about a messaging problem.
Yeah. It's insane, right? It's absolutely bonkers.
I didn't know she was black.
He's trying to bring it back to just being a party for the people, of the people, by the people. But these other two guys are basically a part of their whole establishment, and they're probably going to win. And the DNC is like, it's so frustrating because the Democrats, like, it's just controlled opposition of Democrats and Republicans.
Bell pointed out in the group chat that we missed a serious opportunity to play a wonderful drop.
Just showing off on TV again.
I know what's going on. You're just showing off on friggin' TV again.
That's Selena Gomez.
Bell, you can click those fucking buttons. You don't need to
100%,
say it in the private
100%.
chat. You just go to media
your head.
assets.
Go for it. Anyway, we're through.
he tells us you guys could have done this. It's like, no, you could have too. Like,
we're one team here.
Hey, I guess they're right. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
So Dan, I wanted to revisit this one with you real quick.
Sure. Let's do it.
We were talking about you remember when the Kendrick Lamar, aka K Dot, and Drake's beef first started kicking off, and we were discussing different beefs that we thought were like the most like legendary, and we were talking about obviously Tupac and Biggie,
sure,
with his song I forgot the name of the song.
Tupac's or
Tupac's
Hit 'Em Up.
Yeah, Hit 'Em Up. I think that this whole Kendrick Lamar Drake beef just went to the next level, man. It's
so many people are getting attacked.
No, Selena, no one got attacked. Well, I guess the only thing that got attacked is Drake's fucking legitimacy. He's suing the music label that Kendrick dropped his song under. Saying,
right,
he's
dude,
trying to assume like defamation and shit like that. Like, so not only did someone get shot, like it is like some gangbang gangster shit, like in the Tupac and Biggie beef. Now he's like trying to sue him.
Like, it's so soft compared to the East Coast West Coast rap wars.
Right, but like
I was a pedophile.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's just what makes it's going to make it more legitimate.
Children.
The funniest thing is Kendrick is going to be playing this song at the Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
That's the thing, though. They don't know if he's going to, because if he does, then it's another defamation thing.
Nah,
Is it?
he's gonna fucking do it.
That's what
So
I
like,
heard.
is it like a 1 count of defamation for every time Kendrick's played the song? In a concert?
It's
made the
expression.
song,
It's
he's doing
music.
them-
You can. It's not like, you know what
He's
I
gonna
mean.
lose.
Like all of a sudden,
Drake's gonna lose.
yeah. Or either Drake loses or he completely fucking destroys the rap industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the thing is, too,
Like that's a realization I just came to, and I'm grappling with the implications of that, and it's just like, holy fucking shit. If he wins that lawsuit, he completely destroyed hip hop. This fucking Canadian coming over here who played a guy in a wheelchair on some kids drama show
Fake.
culturally appropriating being an ableist or being handicapped. But
Jimmy.
dude, if he wins that case, he fucking destroys. Because then rappers won't feel as free to rap whatever they want to rap about in a song.
They don't anymore, because they did pass a law where they can use
Young
lyrics.
Thug,
Yeah.
which is bullshit
they
in
can use-
itself. But then all of a sudden, right? But they can still rap about killing someone if they really didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not like that's not gonna hurt it as much as now. Oh, I can't just talk shit anymore. Someone might sue me.
You got there's actual audio of
Like Drake
Kendrick
might destroy hip hop.
We have actual audio of Kendrick responding to Drake.
You take forever to say nothing.
It feels weird. It's just weird that he sounds just like Homer Simpson, but it's good. Good stuff.
No, I think he actually.
Chicken
This is what he
fingers
said
getting
right
here. Anyway, just see people freaking out about the federal grant shutdown. Like without even bothering to read the executive order. Just didn't even bother to read like a page and a half of an executive order. Freaking out about SNAP benefits being taken away when they weren't, because they were exempt, because any money that was going directly to American citizens was not part of
Medicare, food stamps, all that stuff was exempt. But like the media was literally out there going, they're exempting these things.
Right. Yeah. It's this is why, dude. So since we've started posting more to TikTok and I've been on it a little bit more, I really do understand why people say that app causes so much fucking brain rot, because there is so much bullshit politically on that app that is like everybody thinks they're a political commentator, and I can already hear people saying, well, that's what you think and you're not very good either. Fine. Well, fair enough. But at least I recognize that every other like silly person commenting on politics on TikTok is just fucking dumb as shit. It's just like, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we can get into the hearings now that we're already fucking 33 minutes into this episode.
Yeah. What do I have?
God
damn it.
We can start with the RFK hearing, and we got the Elizabeth Warren video. This one, people that listen to our show have probably heard this 40 times, but it never gets old to me. I've watched it probably 6 or 7 times, because the hilarity of Elizabeth Warren not only tattling on herself, but tattling on all of Congress, thinking that she is somehow owning RFK Jr. In that hearing. It is magical. Where did that? Fuck, I got this all out of order. Hang on. I'm gonna play it. I got you. I got everybody.
You're out of order.
Donnie, you're out of your element.
It's so true, dude. Like I need so much help with this. Here we go. Let's play Pocahontas. What do you say?
I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
No,
and I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
companies as much.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury
She
might
just uses the word
impress upon.
conspiracy,
You
just
could
throws it
appoint
in there.
I don't understand that.
CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them
Boy, I
do
hope
your
he's
dirty
qualified.
work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation.
I think of
even if
RFK
there
is
is
gearing
no
up.
causal
He's just
evidence.
gearing up to say something.
Change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm.
just
and they could use
bullshit.
it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said.
But that's the
we're-
answer.
Senator,
Right.
you're asking me.
He's just said, I'm going to follow all the rules that are in place.
My
Yeah, you are. That's exactly.
That's my
what you're
favorite. That's my
doing.
favorite part. I'm going to back up a little bit.
one question. You have said.
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are.
Yes, you
That's
are.
exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here.
Well, she's right about that.
Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country.
Well, you're not that
And for
smart. I
all
know
of
what's going
his
on. You're just
talk
showing off
about
on friggin'
follow the
TV again.
science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
The
Senator, I support
hyperbole is
vaccines.
just.
I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
How about then say you won't make money off what you do as Secretary of HHS?
So she doesn't even care about what he wants to do. She's upset about him making money.
Right. So like when she goes, no, I am not, when he says that, you're asking me not to sue pharmaceutical companies. Technically, she's right when she says that. What she's saying is, oh, you can go ahead and sue pharmaceutical companies. You just can't make any money off of it.
Yeah, you can't be compensated for
Get
it.
the fuck out of here, you fraud of a fucking lefty. You shill for the goddamn pharmaceutical companies. This woman made, what was it, $176,000 or something like that, just in the 2020 election cycle alone off of pharmaceutical companies. And she'll probably make the same defense or a similar defense that Bernie Sanders makes that we're going to get to here in just a minute, which is that, well, I never made any money off of PACs that are pharmaceutical PACs or pharmaceutical CEOs. We all see right through what that actually means. He tries to pull the whole, it's all from employees. Yeah, employees that have interests in the pharmaceutical company doing well, you moron.
One of our, sorry to cut you off, one of our longtime listeners just said, love the Saturday morning podcast, way better than Saturday morning cartoons.
I mean, we are kind of cartoonish, though.
So when it comes to RFK, and we're going to be going over him like with Bernie Sanders and stuff, but like, so I just think, so this is what I got written down. So RFK might make some question vaccines, which would lead to the vaccine companies having to make sure their T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, having to demonstrate and prove the vaccines are in fact safe, whether through through the more stringent testing and transparency. Why is that bad? He said again and again that he won't ban vaccines, but wants more transparency. Why is that bad? And to add to that, if vaccines truly do work, why are people who will take them so concerned?
Right. That's what we're going to find out, right? We're going to find out that they're safe and effective, just like everybody says they are. And I'm not an anti-vax person in any way, shape, or form.
Me neither. My kid's vaccinated. I'm vaccinated.
Yeah, I think there's some nuance to this.
Pure brother. I never got no COVID vaccine.
I think when you look at there's the really weird obvious one is, why are you giving a Hep B vaccine to a newborn baby? Like, why is that part of the schedule? It's a bloodborne, blood-based illness.
So here's the thing. In some scenarios, that might be warranted. Mother was a drug addict.
Sure,
like
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But is that something?
Oh, you were going to say Mel popped in to say something. Yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
No, I was going to say the same thing. Sometimes, I mean, obviously they're not going to test the mother in labor to see if they have Hep B or whatever, but in a lot of cases, that is kind of common and it's kind of weird. So the baby gets vaccinated. It's through the eyes in particular, because they're coming out of the womb, and that's where they would get the infection from.
All right, fair enough. You got me. You got me on that one. I guess you got me on that one.
So if a parent is worried about that and doesn't want their kid to have a hepatitis vaccine, then make it to where
you just
the doctors offer you testing the mother before she has the child.
Yeah, and then you could just
literally don't have Hep B? Cool. Your kid doesn't have to get the vaccine.
Right. As soon as your child is born, anyways, you can just be like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You're not forced to have it. It's just something.
Well, you don't have to.
We're gonna do this.
It's one of those scenarios where like doctors have this and like me having my child, like perfect example for this. I'll get into it in a second, but like doctors have this weird like position of authority when you're in a room. That white coat. It's almost like a suit. Like, well, like, and I'm not saying that they don't know what they're doing. It's like, no, you know a hell of a lot more about this shit than I do. Obviously, I'm gonna take your word for it. And like for us, but like at the same time, it can be flipped, and they can try to push that authority because they expect you to just fall in line and believe it because of the fact that they do have that knowledge and they have that PhD. Like me,
authority.
If we didn't have midwives as straight up fucking linebackers in our labor room, Austin would have got a C-section like the first day in. We were in that hospital for 5 days, and those midwives are like, no, she can give this birth naturally, and they want a natural birth. You keep them here, and we're gonna make this happen. Like every time the gynecologist came in, like the doctor, like for the birth, not gynecologist, but like the OB, maybe OBGYN.
The OB,
the OB. Every time they came in, they were kind of like talking to her and asking her how she's feeling and stuff. And the midwives would come barging in like every single time to stand there and like listen to what they said. And when she would leave, the midwives would be like, "What did they say to you?" Because they're in the other room trying to push just a C-section just to get you in and out of here. But we know you want a natural birth, and we know it's available. And we were in the hospital for 5 days, and our insurance paid for it. Luckily, if we didn't have insurance, we would have been really fucked. And if we didn't have dual insurance, my wife, in her undying wisdom, just said, I'm just going to stay on my insurance through my job right now, just in case, while you also have insurance covering me and the kid. And we're just going to have double insurance when we go in. And because of us having to stay in the hospital for 5 days and do all this shit, it only cost us $500. But if it wasn't the dual insurance, it would have been thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Then work together and goes, hey, let's just split the cost.
That's the appeal to authority, right? And it sounds like your midwives were looking out against, and that's what Elizabeth Warren and all of these other folks with the pharmaceutical industry that they're getting paid from, that's what they always turn to, right? They always turn to this appeal to authority. Like that's the knock against RFK Jr. right now. That's what they're trying to push out there.
To authority.
And well, it's not even just that. It's the fact that he's not the authority, right? It's the fact that he doesn't have any medical experience, right? It's like, yeah, but this guy has spent so much time suing, not only suing it for, environmental reasons, suing the pharmaceutical companies. Like he knows the ins and outs of a huge swath of the business.
Sludge.
Yeah, of the business in which he's going to be overseeing. And what you do in that situation is the areas in which you don't have expertise, any executive in any position will say this. What do you do when you have weaknesses? You put people around you that have your weaknesses that are strength.
Right.
You know, and that's why I don't know for sure, but I can almost guarantee that RFK pushed for Jay Bhattacharya to be the head of NIH. I guarantee it. It just because it makes sense. It's a guy that knows more about the area of expertise that maybe RFK is a little bit short on. It's not this immediate. They act like it's this immediate disqualifier for him.
Right.
And it's appealed with.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? And then I was listening to Breaking Points talking about this with Christo and Sagar.
Oh God.
And Sagar brought up a really good point.
Sagar, that poor guy.
In this Republican culture that we have right now, and
I had a little
who's
beer
all
spill.
in that circle,
I'm here.
RFK is probably the best choice, because then what's next in line? Just a fucking pharmaceutical lobbyist? Who does Trump have in the wings? You know what I mean? Like, it's either RFK or someone who just keeps the status quo going.
Right. It's like Elizabeth Warren's like, you have to promise not to make money off of suing these pharmaceutical companies. Don't make money off of what you do as head of HHS. And it's just like, you mean the same thing that every other head of whatever committee or whatever organization within the government has done throughout all of history? Somehow RFK is unique.
Right.
You know, that the same people that you fucking have confirmed multiple times since you've been a senator that have done the same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum. RFK is not supposed to do that now. Lick my balls.
You know what? Right. Yeah. And it's just like, oh no, he might make some money doing this when every other one has been making money doing this, but at the ill of the American people. And now it's completely reversed, but you're still stuck up on the money aspect of it, even though the money is going to be going in the opposite end. Like, yeah, he's
the good
end.
You know
what I mean?
The good end, the end that's holding the pharmaceutical companies accountable. Like, wow, what an asshole! Like,
right.
So,
and then, like, yeah, and if he doesn't get confirmed,
it's
going to be another piece of shit lobbyist. You think Trump has another one in line? You think Trump has another RFK with the RFK ideology in line? No,
I don't know.
I doubt he does. It's going to be a lobbyist.
I hope he has a backup
like his
plan.
first term.
I hope he has a backup plan. You want to move on to Bernie? This is gonna be a long episode.
Is broken. And it's broken for some of the reasons that Mr. Kennedy indicated. We have not paid attention to the fact that we have massive amounts of chronic disease. We have not answered the question why in the richest country in the history of the world, our life expectancy is lower than it is in countries far poorer than we are. So I think in many ways, President Trump and Mr. Kennedy have asked some of the right questions. Problem is their answers will only make a bad situation worse. So let me ask Mr. Kennedy again. If we want to make America healthy, will you assure the American people that you will fight to do what every other major country on earth does, guarantee health care to every single American? I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now. Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? That's a simple question.
Super simple, but doesn't have a simple answer.
The problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, no, no.
I thought that would, no. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions.
I know what's going on.
They did not come from the executives,
again.
not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers. In 2020, you were the single largest because I had pharmaceutical contributions from workers all over this country. Workers, you were the single, not a nickel from corporate tax.
You were the single largest. We're talking about CEOs and directors of companies that he's calling workers right now.
Yeah, well, you want to like that. So
now, granted, they did do. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like he's saying workers, but a lot of these, like, some of these
what's
people
Bernie doing right there? Is Bernie a Nazi? Look where I have this fucking frozen.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ! But he, And to be fair, he did return those contributions to like some of the people who like, because when he was running in 2020, he made a pledge that he wasn't going to take any money from pharmaceutical companies or any money over like $200 or something like that. And he, when pressed, because he said this and said that's what he was doing, and then someone went through all of his like donations, because you have to put your occupation down like in the donations. Some people weren't putting their occupation down, so he was getting money from these companies or from people who were like in charge of these companies in these smaller donations, and he returned that money, but he only returned it because people pressed him on it.
Mm-hmm. If he hadn't gotten caught, right? If he hadn't gotten caught being,
well, I don't even know if caught's the right word. Like if it didn't get brought to his attention, like I don't know if he knew that's exactly how that money was coming.
You're being a little more generous than me, and that's fair.
You know what I mean? Well, I mean, like because he did, objectively, he did have the most smallest donors. That if like of the millions and millions of donors, I don't think him personally is going through every single one and seeing what they did with a fine-tooth comb.
No, I'm sure, but he's got staff, and if that's what he wants, he hired them. That should be
and somebody found it and said, "Whoa, this is going on," and he did return the money. But I think my biggest qualm is the idea that like the Medicare for all is at this point, when we're talking about an unhealthy society, an unhealthy country, Medicare for all, you're either for it or against it. It doesn't fucking matter. That's almost separate from this conversation when it comes
because
to
it's kind of
someone who wants to make Americans healthy.
It's an absolutist
he's
policy.
Like, are you going to give everyone health care? And it's like, well, giving everyone health care doesn't sure, you can give everyone health care, but I'm going to give everyone health care, which is just basically a Band-Aid on a bullet wound or a Band-Aid on a scrape. Because if you make everybody really, really healthy in this country, then medical care by a second or third, fourth, fifth consequence is going to get cheaper in the first place and not be as much of a necessity if everyone is healthy. And if everyone, you know what I mean? Versus
I know exactly.
Everyone unhealthy, sure. If everyone's unhealthy, sure, we can just say we're going to give everyone medical care, but it doesn't solve the problem of being everyone healthy. It's just going to cost all of us more money to keep everyone unhealthy alive longer.
Right.
We could just be keeping everyone healthy to where whether or not they are covered is less of an issue because everybody's healthy.
You take forever to say nothing.
No, I understand what you're saying, Corey. Like to piggyback on that, I'll sum it up sort of quickly.
It's just bullshit.
I'll sum it up. I'll try to sum it up a little bit more quickly here. So even as a libertarian, I don't support Medicare for all. However, to your point, what I would say is this: if you do what RFK wants to do and make America healthier, I think this is what you're saying, it immediately lessens the burden of Medicare and Medicaid, even if you do have Medicare and Medicaid for all. Why is that not a good thing? There's no world where that's not good. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But that's why it's it's really, really hard for me to sit here and listen to even people like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Not,
we got to say these two people, both, and you could probably ask them both if you got them both in the room and ask them. They both genuinely care about the American people.
I don't. Well, you're talking about Bernie and RFK?
Yeah, Bernie and RFK.
I thought you were including Elizabeth Warren in that.
They
because
generally
I would not agree on that.
No, we're over Elizabeth Warren. We stopped talking about it. They both genuinely care about the American people. But Bernie is talking about he's conflating the issue. You know what I mean? RFK wants to make Americans healthy. You also want to make sure Americans are healthy, or at least, in the very least, taken care of if they're unhealthy. But the two of you working together could solve this problem from two different ends of the issue. You could burn the candle at both ends in a good sense.
Well, and
because you're stuck on this regular, this in the box narrow scope of the issue, you're not seeing the forest through the trees, Bernie. And that's my biggest qualm with this. That's my issue with what Bernie Sanders is saying here.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And it's like, I just don't understand, because Bernie even said it at the beginning of his little spiel there, where he's like, "Oh, well, they're saying some of the right things, and I like the idea of making Americans healthy again. But what about health insurance and Medicare for all?" It's like,
then Bernie,
it's not a what about.
Stay in your lane and you focus on that. Let him focus on making Americans healthy. Because then all of a sudden, if less Americans need healthcare, and then that number of how much it's going to cost starts to go down, you might get Republicans on your side. The moderate Republicans. Like it's bluster, man.
It's if you just make Americans healthier, less people need these benefits.
Bernie, I know what you're doing.
I know what's going on. You're just showing off on friggin' TV again.
More or less. Dude, he is like a little bit of a blowhard. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, he is. He's a blowhard on his principles of things that at one time I agree with vehemently, and like sometimes I look at through a different perspective, a different scope, but I don't dislike him. I don't dislike him because of this. I'm not bummed with him about this.
I guess they're right. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
Yes, he can still serve a purpose.
What's the next video I have here? Oh, this is Senator Mullen after Bernie's spiel, and after what you just said, Corey, I'm honestly interested in your opinion on what Senator Mullen had to say. Let me switch this over.
Yeah, because I was actually doing different random things.
That all of a sudden,
pause it real quick. When you were playing these in the pre-shows, I was actually doing different things and looking at different videos and catching up on just current events. So I didn't get to watch any of these. So
here you go. Let's this was Senator Mullen's response.
The guy that tried to fight the Teamster.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not saying he's not a blowhard too, but here you go.
It absolutely blows my mind that all of a sudden it's such shame that Bobby's setting up here. He's questioning science, because I guarantee you, if he was sitting here and he was going to be the secretary of HHS underneath the former President Biden, which I enjoy saying former president, I would bet you that you guys would have his back 100% and enjoy the fact that he's questioning science and would probably support his positions 100%. But because he's now on the Republican side, you guys went way off the rail. And how dare he question science? My God, if we didn't question science, where would we be today? We've always questioned science. Science is always evolving and always changing. Have a glass of wine a day. It's healthy for you. Don't have a glass of wine a day. Have a piece of chocolate a day. It's healthy for you. Dark chocolate is healthy for you. Take an aspirin a day.
Sounds like a racist dog whistle.
I mean, where would we be today if we didn't ever question science? But I will say there's an issue that I have as a father of 6, that when my kids come out from getting their vaccines, they look like a freaking pincushion. I mean, 72 vaccinations. I think there's a reason we should be questioning this. When you start looking at the rise of autism, why wouldn't we be looking at everything? Who wouldn't want to look at everything? Give me anybody in this room that doesn't know somebody that you're personally connected to that one of their children doesn't suffer from some severity of autism. Give me one. And you guys are all saying that Bobby can't question it? I don't get it, guys. I don't understand your point, other than the fact you just oppose him because he supports a president that you guys don't like now. I applaud him for going into the situation and saying, let's question something. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results.
All right. Yeah, that's probably enough. So here's the thing. He says he doesn't get it. So let me be very, very clear about this, because you have to pre-qualify things before.
He's like, what does it mean? He says, what does it mean, right?
So he is kind of an idiot, because he's said things that many people have said before, like, you got to question science. If I've said it on this show, if we didn't question science, we'd still fucking believe the earth is flat, which some people do even. But what I would say is this: we always talk about how we have to pre-qualify things.
Is there questioning the questioning?
I don't necessarily believe that vaccines cause autism. I don't think there's enough evidence to prove that they do. However, what I would say,
but here's why: because first off, it was junk science, and they were saying that what was causing it was they were using mercury, the element,
which RFK also talks about. Yeah,
right. But that was it was it killed bacteria. It like stabilized the vaccine and made it so it didn't have bacteria.
Sure.
It disinfectant, right? But there's ethyl and methyl mercury, and then there's 2 different mercuries. There's like the heavy one that you would see, it's like silver, thick, bubbly stuff, and then there's the other one that's like it dissolves better. It's not as dense, and they were using the one that dissolved better. But here's the thing: it's like even if that was still being used, and you could have an argument like, well, hold on, look at this, but they don't use mercury anymore in the vaccines anyways.
But since when? When did that stop?
I don't know the exact date. Probably
Bell,
like
can you look that up? Can you find out when they stopped using mercury in vaccines, just so we have it? But like what I was saying was this, right? What I was saying is this, right? So we all know that correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
Right.
Something you hear all the time from people that are really
2001.
Okay. That's not that long ago, though.
Right.
So that's not really that long ago. So I don't know that, like, have autism rates gone down or have they stayed the same? I honestly, I really don't know. I'm asking genuinely.
Ask Bell. Yeah, ask Bell. Bell, has autism rates gone down since 2001?
Since 2001. All I'm saying is this, like, there is a correlation there, right? To where there were a lot more autism diagnoses as we started putting more vaccines in the schedule, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that the vaccines are the cause of the autism, but it's definitely right. I think you would agree with this, Corey. It's an interesting correlation that, a lot of people say it's been looked into, and maybe it has. So all that's going to happen here is RFK is going to come in. He's just going to look into it more and just prove your point right even further. Like, why is it so dangerous for RFK to go in and look at this again and again and again and again? All it's going to do is just prove what you already know, right? What is the big deal?
Right.
I don't get it. That's the part. I do get it, because there's a part of me, the tinfoil hat side, right? Let's put that on for a minute. That goes, yeah, of course they would
every year.
If it's gone, okay, fair enough. So it's gone
89.
up even since the mercury's been taken out. But again, that doesn't mean it was the mercury. Maybe RFK was wrong about that part of it. But yeah, all it's going to do is prove that these vaccines are safe and effective, right? That's all it's going to do. I'm not saying that the pharmaceutical companies and the people in Congress that are being paid by them have anything to hide. But when you act like this and you say Bobby Kennedy is a danger and you ad hom attack him and you appeal to authority, it makes complete sense that people would look at that and go, it kind of seems like you're hiding something. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because like what you're talking about when you say looking at things again and again and again, there's a business term for it. Even like regardless of government, it's called business process management.
Mm-hmm.
And you constantly, you institute a process in the company, and then you let it run, and then you look at it again, like, all right, this worked, this didn't. Let's let's tighten this up, and like that's what the most successful businesses do. Why would our government bureaucratic fucking departments not want to do the same thing?
Not to mention, as we know, as Senator Mullen said, like, science is constantly evolving. Maybe there was something we missed. Like, is it not possible that there was something
we have
that was
way
missed?
more technology now than we did 2 years ago with AI and shit like that.
Like, wouldn't
you
it?
know what I mean?
Wouldn't it be dope as fuck if we figured out, like, oh shit, there's this ingredient in, say, like, I don't know, the chicken pox vaccine that like may be contributing to autism, and we go, all right, let's maybe take that vaccine off the market for a while.
Do
let's
they really
fix
give
it.
a vaccine for chicken pox now?
Oh yeah, there's a chicken pox. It's been around for a while, actually.
Oh. I remember when we were there, we were turning down vaccines. That might have been the ones that we turned down for CJ.
Yeah, like let's take that vaccine. Let's take that vaccine off the market. And my point is, like, let's take that vaccine off the market and let's fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is this is just so? Or because it costs people money.
At the very least, just do more studies on it. Revisit all the data. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you have a vaccine, and then you use the data based on the efficacy of a vaccine, based on the data used in the studies before the vaccine came out, and then you introduce it to the population. Okay. Well, now you have a new data set. Revisit the data and then say, okay, and then this is what's happening now when it's in the general population.
Well, and a big part of RFK's
I don't know if
points
it happens or not. It might already happen like that, but
a big point
they do
about
it with cars, recalls.
A big point that RFK has always made about vaccines is this idea that it's the only form of medicine that is protected by the law, where if you do have an adverse effect, you can't sue the pharmaceutical company that made it. And then you just hear that, and it's true. You just hear that, and then you go, you wonder why people go, what are they hiding? Like, why would you need that provision in the law? Like, what are you not to say, maybe they're not hiding anything. Maybe these vaccines really are great. I'm not saying that they're not. And we know that they survive. I'm a big fan of the polio vaccine. I'm a big fan of a lot of others that really have done a great job of saving not only children's lives, but those that are vulnerable. But why do you need that provision in the law? And when you sit there and you go, how can you possibly question this? It's like, are you fucking insane? Are you an insane person? Why does a big corporation need protection against lawsuits for a product that is injected into your body's ecosystem?
Yeah.
How is that not a legitimate question? It's insane to me. Shall we move on to Tulsi, or do you have any wrap ups on RFK?
No, I think I said everything I need to say.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just play Tulsi's opening remarks. Most of our listeners probably know that she's the Trump's nominee to become head of intelligence. We'll just play her opening remarks, and I'll go take a piss while we do this.
Bum, bum.
Chuck Schumer admitted a few years ago, quote, "You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you."
Ooh!
For too long, faulty, inadequate, or weaponized intelligence have led to costly failures and the undermining of our national security and God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. The most obvious example of one of these failures is our invasion of Iraq, based upon a total fabrication or complete failure of intelligence. This disastrous decision led to the deaths of tens of thousands of American soldiers, millions of people in the Middle East, mass migration, destabilization, and undermining of the security and stability of our European allies, the rise of ISIS, strengthening of Al-Qaeda and other Islamist jihadist groups, and strengthening Iran. Here are just a few other examples. The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once, but twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation, specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote-unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end. President Trump's re-election is a clear mandate from the American people to break this cycle of failure, end the weaponization and politicization of the intelligence community, and begin to restore trust in those who've been charged with the critical task of securing our nation.
Yeah, no, she's basically talking about how, we need to get rid of like biases and fabricated division within our country is clouding the intelligence agency and garnering resources and focus from issues at hand that might actually be real threats to our country.
I know, man. What a bitch. Am I right? what,
Yeah,
what a terrible person. What a terrible person she
Only
is.
people are getting attacked.
Yeah, I don't really have any comments on that other than like I didn't hear one false thing that she said. People during this hearing will definitely say that she was lying about stuff. She was put on a terror watch list. And God, an acting member of our fucking military. She like,
yeah,
you would figure that if she was a danger of being a terrorist or a terrorist sympathizer, she'd probably be like court-martialed or something. Did that ever happen? I don't think that ever happened.
Not be a lieutenant colonel. Yeah.
It's just absolutely fucking asinine. I got to move my notes down here. We talked about this a little bit, Corey, as a joke, but like you were talking about how Michael Bennett sounds like Mr. Mackey from South Park. By the way, so does Ron Wyden. They both kind of sound like Mr. Mackey if you combine them together. It's funny. They sound like Mr. Mackey. And then who's the other guy? Chuck Grassley from Iowa looks like Mr. Mackey. So they're all just combinations of Mr. Mackey from South Park. The thing that I found, and we're going to play some of it. The thing that I found so infuriating, my wife was like, "Why are you yelling at the TV?" As I was watching this, because I was getting so pissed about how obsessed these fucking people are with Edward Snowden. And it's like, you're saying the quiet part out loud. You know that what this man did was American heroism. How do I know that? Because all you wanted this woman to do was say that he was a traitor. And she, to her credit, she even kind of meets them in the middle, right? She admits during this hearing, we'll play a little bit of it, that Edward Snowden broke the law, because by the law, he did break the law. However, as we talk about on this show a lot, as people that want to be ungovernable, doesn't mean all laws are justified, right? So she does admit that he broke the law multiple times. She will not, and thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, she will not call him a traitor. She won't say that he's not a traitor, which is just like a nice little strategic move on her part. She will not, in all the ways that she was pressed, she will not call him a traitor. I'm going to play a little bit from, I think this is Todd Young. No, this is Michael Bennett, a Democrat out of Colorado, trying to get her to say that Edward Snowden's a traitor to the American people. Not this time, but you were 4 years ago, asshole. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't share it. I swear to God, I clicked it. Sort of got it.
Speaking of becoming ungovernable, did you hear about that? How Greyhound now isn't going to let ICE agents on their bus because there was an altercation with one of their drivers who told ICE agents to gargle his balls when they tried to enter the bus.
Become ungovernable, baby. Here we go.
Become ungovernable.
Finally got the video pulled up. There we go.
Consent. We are not here to be a rubber stamp for the president of the United States. So let me ask
as I was saying,
again,
but you would have been 4 years ago, asshole.
Do you believe, as the chairman of this committee believes, as the vast majority of members of our intelligence agencies believe, that Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America?
Senator, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence.
Don't let her answer. Don't let her answer.
As
soon as she opens her mouth.
Media, it's not a moment to propagate theories, conspiracy theories, or
love that word,
or attacks on journalism.
They're cheating, they're crooked, they're corrupt.
This is when you need to answer the questions of the people whose votes you're asking for to be confirmed as the chief intelligence officer of this nation.
You're fired. Get out of here.
As my colleague said, this is not about you. It's about the people that serve the intelligence agencies of the United States. Is Edward Snowden a
Well, you're not that
traitor
smart.
to the
I know
United
what's going on. You're
States
just
of
showing
America?
off on friggin' TV again.
That is not a hard question to
Smirking.
answer.
I love it. I love
when
that
the stakes
smirk.
are this high.
Senator, as someone who has
Your
served
answer,
in
yes or no.
She couldn't even get the
is
word
Edward
senator out of
Snowden
it, out of her
a
mouth.
traitor to the United States of America?
As someone who has
I'll go on
worn
to
our
my
uniform
questions.
in
Jesus
combat,
Christ, let her
I
talk.
understand how
It's all-
critical
oh, it's a
our national
circus.
security
Apparently
is.
you don't.
Clowns.
Apparently you don't. Let me.
And it's no different. Like, it's not even just because this is like Trump's confirmations. Like, like, I know a lot more people are paying attention to these ones because they're interesting and they're people that are
Right.
outside the establishment. This is how these
Biden's
hearings
confirmations were
always
the
go.
same. Just
Always.
replace the
Every
R
time.
next to the, or not, replace the D next to his name with an R, and it was a Republican doing the same thing. You ever seen Jim Jordan doing in his hearings?
Oh yeah,
Just as bad.
It's the same bullshit because it's just an attempt to grandstand. It's an attempt to propagandize you into going. It's basically this idea of like, you know how like when you're arguing with somebody online, or you like say something that's kind of, I mean, it might not even be that profound, but it's like something that's just factually true, but somebody disagrees with it, and they just like all they do is comment like, "Oh, I just can't even," because they don't have an argument. This is like the real live government version of that.
Or
I
just,
just can't
oh,
even.
your white privilege is showing.
Yeah, like it's just like you just call somebody an idiot because you don't have anything to go against their argument. And like, credit to Tulsi Gabbard, man, she would not say that Edward Snowden was a traitor because he wasn't. He absolutely was not. And her point is so good. I think she actually makes
traitor,
it.
no, so here's the thing.
Todd
Right?
Young.
He was a traitor to the establishment.
Go ahead. I'm just going to pull up the
traitor
next
to the
one.
deep state. He's a traitor to the government in the
Right.
military industrial complex.
Right.
But he wasn't a traitor to the American people. He let the American
Right.
people know that their constitutionally protected rights were being infringed upon.
He was a traitor to Michael Bennett. He was a traitor to everybody on that fucking committee. He was a traitor to the federal government, who is your actual enemy.
Right.
Not the D's, not the R's. The government is your enemy.
Right.
So that's a great point, Corey. Yeah.
Edward
I
Snowden
think
wasn't
that-
a traitor to me. He let me know what my government was doing. And then the very people that he told me that were infringing on my constitutional rights are the ones that are telling me that he was a bad guy.
But he broke the law, Corey. He broke the law. To the gallows! Because he broke the law.
Pull out the guillotine.
All right, Kyle Kalinske.
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
I got Todd Young. This is actually a Republican out of Indiana next.
Tulsi, good to see you.
Oh, this is a little bit of a long one, so I apologize for that.
Appreciate you being here today. It was clear from that visit in the office that we share a lot of concerns about ill-advised
Got to
foreign
butter her up a little bit.
regime change interventions, about the weaponization in certain instances of our domestic law enforcement and intel authorities. Let me talk about something, Edward Snowden, on which we may not agree. It's been recognized he fled overseas with the number of 1.5 million classified.
Todd Young wearing a
documents.
hairpiece.
He shared them with the press. He absconded to China and Russia. Do you have any response?
Dad,
to
stop. The doctor said no one would notice.
House Intel Committee, which stated that, quote, Snowden caused tremendous
That might be his real
damage
hair.
to national
Just a really
security
bad
and
hairdo.
including to military, defense, and intelligence.
comb over for
programs
somebody
of
who
great
doesn't need a
interest
comb
to
over.
America's adversaries. I'll give you an opportunity to respond, hopefully briefly.
Hopefully
Thank you,
briefly. Yeah.
Senator. As
Shut
I've
up
said
is what he means.
before, Edward Snowden broke the law, and I do not agree with how he chose to release information and the extent of the information and intelligence that he released. It's my focus on the future, and I think we can all agree that we do not want to have another Snowden-type leak, and I've laid out specific actions, if confirmed as DNI, to do that.
Okay. Well, it's notable you didn't say, yes, he clearly hurt in various ways our national security. The same House committee also reported that based on DOD assessments.
I'm going to pause it for a second because they always bring this up about how Edward Snowden harmed our national security, but they never say how. They never say who was harmed by this. They always talk about like how this information could have gotten people killed. Corey, could have gotten people killed. They don't say that who was killed.
Right.
Who was? Can somebody point it out to me? Because maybe I'm missing something and I don't know. But is there like a swath of intelligence people that were killed because of the release of Edward Snowden's information? They always pull this bullshit, this fear-mongering bullshit about like, oh, people in the intelligence community, their lives were in danger. They're in danger.
Should the Chinese or Russians access certain documents relating to DoD capabilities that we know Snowden
look
stole,
at that. It says TikTok.
American troops will be at greater risk in any future conflict, unquote. Do you have any reflection on this assessment?
I would be very concerned about that. I have not had access to the information or intelligence that led to that assessment, but anything that puts our men and women in uniform unnecessarily at risk should be a grave concern.
I share that sentiment as a former Marine Corps intelligence officer.
I bet you
when
do.
We find that Americans, whether private citizens or
we need to talk about my Marine
contractors or
service.
uniform personnel have shared sensitive designs about military technology or plans to a foreign government. However well-intentioned, we rightfully throw the book at them. Snowden did just that. Yet you have argued and many times that he should be pardoned. You introduced legislation, as has been discussed here. He's been able to publicly hide, as I see it, behind this facade of being a so-called whistleblower.
Oh, there it is.
But he likely
there it is.
endangered
This facade of being a so-called whistleblower. See how they just use these disparaging terms and don't think that the American people are smart enough to see right through the bullshit. Like when that dumb broad that called Matt Taibbi a so-called journalist. It's the same shit when you get in front of these people. They just use these words that are supposed to sound so bad. Bad person. It's bad. So-called. They use the same language over and over again.
American lives through his actions. So,
here's the thing about him. Go ahead and pause it real quick.
Yeah, I got you.
What's frustrating about it is they all keep saying like, "Oh man, he put American lives at risk when he released this information, saying that this that they could."
Your government is spying on you, is what he said.
Right. They're risking American lives and they're putting American lives at stake when he just released all this stuff. And it's like, there isn't any headlines. There isn't any news articles. There is no knowledge or, I guess you could use the word data or information or stories that have come out that have said these people were killed because the information that Edward Snowden leaked led to this action happening, right? Because if it did,
I wish I could do something, but I can't.
Because if that were true, there would be so many news articles about it, and it would be jammed down our throat that this is what happens when you reveal this type of information.
Actual audio coming out of the intelligence community after Edward Snowden's leak.
Only people are getting attacked.
Yeah, that was Young himself.
Community. How would you think you would be received based on some of these past actions to support or even to pardon Edward Snowden?
She doesn't care. She won't say that, but she doesn't care.
And intelligence,
and she shouldn't care.
How do you think it'll be received?
I'm grateful, Senator, to have received letters of endorsement and support from many current and former individuals who worked within the intelligence community, those who've worked or are still working within our military. Because
vocal fry is a little bit of a turn off, but she looks good.
That my sole goal and interest
I got a picture with her.
Security and upholding to the Constitution.
Did you grab your ass?
And they trust that if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will take the very specific steps that I have laid out in informing every single person within the intelligence community about the legal pathways they have to blow the whistle or to bring any concerns to the forefront, to include coming directly to members of Congress, to limit access so that we don't have people who are E3s or E4s.
And I don't even necessarily support what she's suggesting, but it's better than what we have now.
Information, giving them a direct line to me to once again make sure that we are all fulfilling our responsibility to
Tulsi,
ensure our national security and uphold our Constitution.
Thank you. Tulsi, was Edward Snowden false to an obligation?
Oh my God, Edward Snowden.
I don't understand what you're saying. False?
He had, yes. Did he betray a duty? But did he betray the trust
duty
of the American people? Which is, according to Merriam-Webster, that's the definition of a traitor.
Edward Snowden broke the law, and he released this information in a way that he should not have. He also acknowledged and exposed information that was unconstitutional, which drove a lot of the reforms that this body has made over the years to make sure that Americans' constitutional rights are protected.
For what?
You see how she's doing an awesome job of like just playing their game enough where, like I said, she's admitting that he broke a law. She's not even necessarily saying that she's thinks that the law is unjust, which I kind of think she does think that, but that's just me speculating. But also going, no, I'm not going to fucking say this man was a traitor. I'm just not going to do that. I love her for this. And we've talked about Tulsi multiple times on this show. I've gone back and forth on this woman so many times. Her good, her bad, her ugly. I don't think she's perfect, but of every intelligence director's job or every intelligence director that we've had, certainly since the Iraq War and probably since maybe forever, I don't really even fucking know. She would absolutely be my favorite. I don't think there's any question about it.
I gotta tell you, Dan, she's made me shake my head a couple times, but that poster right there has never come down.
She always comes back around for you.
For what it's worth, Mr. Snowden is watching these proceedings. He's posted on social media even, indicating that Tulsi Gabbard should indicate that I harmed national security. This may be the rare instance in which I agree with Mr. Snowden.
He even admits it.
It would befit you and be helpful to the way you are perceived by members of the intelligence community if you would at least acknowledge that the greatest whistleblower
I got something to say about
history, so-called.
So wait, now he wants her to
harm national security.
Agree with someone who they're painting as a traitor?
It's over anyway. Yeah, because this is why these people are fucking morons. Okay, so he read an actual tweet because obviously Edward Snowden was watching live as these proceedings were taking place and was tweeting out. He said that Tulsi Gabbard should admit that he harmed national intelligence. But like Todd Young isn't smart enough to understand what Edward Snowden is doing there. He's calling them out on their bullshit because what these people are trying to suggest to you, the American people, is that nothing comes above national security, which, as we know, as people that are more on the libertarian side of the spectrum of politics, that is sarcasm, because there is at least one thing that comes before national security, and that is the liberty of the American people and the ability for the American people to know that their government is fucking spying on them. So I credit Edward Snowden there for saying, yeah, I definitely harmed national intelligence. I don't deny that.
Isn't that frustrating when everyone, you hear people say sometimes the American idea is dead. No, the American idea was supposed to be just free people, free of a government trying to do anything to impose on their lives. And
but people like Todd Young are too fucking stupid to know what he's actually saying there.
Right. And the American idea is dying, not because of the American people, but because of these governments that keep trying to tout that type of line and talking about the American people, because it's them and the establishment they're a part of that is actually killing the American dream. The American idea.
Doesn't this just kind of speak to like, and we've had this conversation, I think a little bit on the show, but definitely a ton in private, where neither of us, and I think Bell's included in this, none of us are exactly fans of Donald Trump. None of us are like exactly thrilled that he was elected. But we've often talked about, all three of us have talked about this, the good that can come out of a Donald Trump election. And this is part of it. And when I say, like, what's good about him being elected is that the American people elected Donald Trump in a landslide because they understand, so many more people than we have given credit for in the past, and I apologize for that, understand the problems within this fucking status quo and within this government. Do we think that Donald Trump is necessarily the president that's going to fix all of it? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't. But the fact that the American people see it and go, yeah, we're gonna elect this guy. Like, how many people do you think, well, this is just a random question. I don't even know there's any data on this. How many people do you think voted for Donald Trump as a fuck you to the establishment that actually don't really support Donald Trump? I don't think it's a small number.
I think so. It's probably, I don't know what that number would be, but I feel like that there was a lot of people who voted for him because they liked it, that he was a fuck you to the establishment, a wrench in gears.
And that might have been the only reason they voted for him. They might not even like any of his policies.
Like, and I don't think Trump supporters would admit it, but it's like, it was like, Trump is, like, for all these people that are voting for him, I don't think it's necessarily they're voting for Trump himself, but it's just more of like a desperation, a grasping at straws that, fuck, something has to be done different.
Right. And that's the good thing, right?
I think that their vote was bigger than Trump, right?
Oh God,
obviously,
that's the perfect way to put it. Perfect way to put it.
Now, obviously, there are racists and things.
Sure.
Like,
oh,
you
dude,
know,
100%.
you cast a big net, you're gonna get all of that.
Sure.
But I think a lot of people who would get painted as the racists and stuff aren't. But it was a vote of desperation.
But that's
it's not about Trump. It's about what Trump represents.
And that's the good part about it. It's the recognition that the government is your enemy. Now, I don't think there are enough people, and I think there are more and more of you every day. And if you're new to this show, we welcome you, because hopefully it means that you're starting to get it. I don't think a lot of the people that voted for Trump realize that necessarily realize that they voted for him for that reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they've gotten quite to the point yet of understanding that the government is your enemy. It's not the Democrats that are your enemy. It's not the rhinos that are your enemy. It's the government that is your enemy. But they're getting there, and more people are getting there every single day. And it's such it's a breath of fresh air. And that's why when Trump was elected on such a mandate, even though I don't like the guy, even though I don't support the guy, even though we're probably, as I know, we're kind of still in that honeymoon period of inside of a month that every president gets, we're going to start diving in on this show into a lot of the things that Donald Trump is doing wrong, because it's going to happen. But like, for right now, this idea that the American people are starting to grasp the problem. They don't know all the nuances of it yet, but they know that something is wrong. That's wonderful news.
Yeah.
That's an excellent thing. And it's just going to get better and better, I hope. And people like Todd Young, who is, by the way, a Republican, and everybody else who spoke to RFK and Tulsi and Kash Patel, they're terrified. They are terrified of this. So we would urge the American people, keep this going. Keep it up. This is only the beginning, and Trump is remarkably imperfect. So imperfect. And even bad in certain ways. But we're still with you. Do you have anything? Do you have any closing remarks on Todd Young's questioning of Tulsi Gabbard?
Kind of piggybacking off of something I made a remark while he was talking, and I want to really clear the air on this because I feel like this one's like actually pretty important. I made a statement where I was like, "Oh, speaking of bringing up Marine service," or I said something along those lines. And I think you misconstrued, or because I said something about like I served in the Marines. I think you misconstrued what I was saying about Todd Young, but I need to clear this air because I don't want to be busted for stolen valor. Gemini AI, when asked about our show and asked about the hosts, me and you, Gemini AI for some reason thinks that I also served in the Marines and have a law enforcement background. And I really want to make that very clear and on the record that I did not serve in the Marines or have a law enforcement background. I think it's important to say because hopefully, clearly Gemini is reading the transcripts of like our shows and stuff like that, and
Us quoting people.
Yeah, and for some reason it thinks I served in the Marines, but I in fact did not.
Life isn't about getting drunk and eating chicken fingers all the time, all right?
I'm all about just getting drunk and eating chicken fingers. I didn't serve no Marines. I didn't storm no seas at Tripoli. And then I almost had a knee-jerk reaction because when you made that statement about Tulsi, because she obviously is a beautiful woman.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, yeah. I had the knee-jerk reaction that I've almost always had. Like I was almost like offended for her whenever people would say that shit because there's so much more to this woman than her just being a pretty face that surfs and does MMA.
Oh, I think I've made that clear about her, but she can also be a remarkably physically attractive woman, can she not?
Yeah, she can 100%. But I get that comment a lot whenever I talk about like whenever people see the photo of her with me and her, and they're like, "Oh,
well, hold on." Oh, did she grab? Oh, well, when I said, "Did she grab your ass?"
Yeah. Oh, it looks like she's whispering sweet nothings in your ear.
Don't act like if she had grabbed your ass though that you would have had a lot less room in your pants.
Well, that's where my Marine service comes in, Dan, and it's don't ask. it's don't ask, don't tell.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to this is Mark Kelly questioning Tulsi Gabbard. We told you this is gonna be a long episode, a little bit of a marathon. I may split this into two, Corey. What do you think?
Do what you want, man.
All right, I guess I'm in control now.
Welcome into Libservative. This is the second part of there you go. That's an easy segue for you.
What is it? The episode on all the confirmation hearings. Welcome in, just in case we decide to make this a two-part episode. But anyway, here's Mark Kelly.
If you didn't listen to the first part, please go back and listen.
You doubted the intelligence community's conclusions in these two cases, Duma and Kanche Kun, but not the others. And please be specific.
These
I think Mark Kelly looks like Uncle Fester
were
just a little bit.
Being looked at as to be used as a pretext for major military movement, and my fear was a repeat of the deployment of another 500,000 soldiers like we saw in Iraq towards what was the Obama administration's goal, which was regime change in Syria. The question specifically that I raised around these two came about because there were two reasons. One, that assessment was made with high confidence and low information. The information that they had came from those on the ground in an al-Qaeda controlled area, and therefore were al-Qaeda linked sources. And there was conflicting information that came from the UN's Office on the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons Inspectors, as well as an MIT professor, Ted Postel,
So I want
who
to
looked
talk
at
about him
these
for a
extensively.
second. So did you look into
See how
his
she just cuts
credentials?
her off? You
Yes
see
or
how he
no?
just cuts her off?
And were you aware of his appearance
When she's saying something uncomfortable for the
used by
establishment?
the Russians to disseminate government-approved messages?
No.
Were you aware Postal relied on a chemistry student with a record of defending the Assad regime?
At that time, I was not. I have been made aware since.
Do you consider this person or these two individuals now, do you consider them a better source for the chemistry of sarin gas than the U.S. intelligence community?
I assess that at the time, the information, I don't know the second person you're referring to, but MIT professor Ted Postel and the inspectors of the OPCW provided some credible questions that deserved examination.
Okay, thank you. Did you attempt to weigh Postal's claims against the significant evidence and assessments already conducted by the IC?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. So here's my concern here, Colonel. When we began this, You described
Very
a
respectful to
thoughtful
call her
approach to
colonel.
analyzing
Very
intelligence
respectful.
and reaching conclusions. This is what we expect of our professionals. But we just kind of walked through how you came to question Assad's use of chemical weapons in these two cases with a different approach. And I don't reject seeking out differing viewpoints. We need to do that. But you started from a place of doubting the conclusions of the U.S. intelligence community, and then you sought out information that confirmed your viewpoint. That led you to embrace the opinions of two individuals that I think we disagree on this. You think they had expertise, I do not, and others do not. But
Oh,
these
okay. Well, as long as you
individuals were
don't think that they had
sympathetic to
expertise, that's all that
Russia
matters.
and the Assad regime. It also led you to minimize or discount the overwhelmingly information that contradicted your viewpoint, including the expert assessments of our own intelligence community. And they don't get it right 100% of the time. I get that.
Well, at
But
least
what
you
I
threw
have
that caveat
seen
in there, you
makes it
fucking
clear that
bald
at the same time that you were skeptical of our intelligence community's assessments, you would not apply the same skepticism to information that came from sympathizers of Russia and Assad. And I think that's something that we should all be concerned about.
So, okay, I have quite a bit to say about this. Actually, I don't. It's actually pretty simple. So he basically says, you said the same things that Russia says about supporting terrorist organizations in Syria, as if that can't possibly be true, right? It's this game that all of these idiots play where Russia said that. Why are you repeating Russian talking points? I don't know. Maybe because sometimes they're true. Like it's this idea of like it's more important that you said things that Russia says than whether or not it's actually the truth.
It goes back to what my wife profoundly said a week ago in the last episode. She's not defending Russia. She's defending the truth.
Exactly. And we are the most propagandized country in the world, or at least we're up there. And it's because of bullshit. It's a big bullshit that just came out of fucking.
It's
Uncle
not that
Fester's
she's
mouth.
defending Russian talking points. She's defending the truth.
As or you could even add a caveat to that and say, Corey, she's defending the truth as she sees it or knows it.
Yeah,
because we all live our truth now. It's 2025. We all have to live our own truths. But everything that he said there, where whether it be Russian talking points or whether or not we sent weapons to militant groups, this is all true. Look it up. Operation Timber Sycamore. Shall I pull it up for you right now?
Yeah,
because
sure.
I would be happy to read Operation Timber Sycamore for you. Operation Timber Sycamore was a classified weapons supply and training program. This is all true. This is easy to find. Run by the Central Intelligence Agency with support from the United States Department of Defense, Jordanian Armed Forces, Saudi Arabian Intelligence, and the United Kingdom's Secret Intelligence Service. So how many different groups are we talking about here? We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different intelligence-related agencies. And it was launched around 2012 or 2013. The program aimed to arm and train Syrian rebel forces fighting against President Bashar al-Assad during the Syrian civil war. The operation involved delivering thousands of tons of weaponry worth billions of dollars to Syrian opposition groups. However, it faced criticism for inadvertently flooding the Middle East black market with weapons, some of which ended up in the hands of groups like ISIS. How many times do we have to do this? Shall we go back to Charlie Wilson's war? Shall we go back to the United States sending weapons and supporting the Mujahideen to take the Soviet Union out of Afghanistan? Right. This is not even a new thing.
And then it's not even that's not even like a blip on the radar either. Like there's a pattern to this. Like how far do you want to go back? Do you want to go back to the 60s or the 50s when we were arming the Cubans in the Cuban Revolution, where they got slaughtered because we thought that we could do a better job? Should we go to the Panama Colombian debacle? Should we go back to, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like even like this isn't even the first time or the last time we did it.
But even everything you just said is absolutely relevant in the historical context of us sending weapons to bad guys that eventually use them against us. But even just in the context of like since 9/11, like just in the Middle East, just in the Middle East conflicts, the amount of
our
time,
friends now.
It's like when you say that when we went into Iraq in 2003 and we knocked out Saddam Hussein and everybody goes, we took out an evil dictator. It's like, you know what? That's true. We did take out an evil dictator. Nobody supports Saddam Hussein and the way that he treated the Iraqi people. However, there's another side to that, right? We often talk about consequences. We often talk about second, third, fourth, and fifth order consequences that people don't look at. What did it also do?
Destabilize out the entire Middle East.
Destabilized particularly Iraq. But somehow like taking out Bashar al-Assad, who is not a good guy. And I don't think Tulsi Gabbard has ever claimed that he was a good guy. But according to Barry Weiss, she's an Assad toady. But like there are consequences to the things that you do. Sure, you took out a dictator. Awesome. Now who runs Syria? Al-Qaeda. Like, what in the fuck are we doing here?
Right. Since 9/11, we now have two of our biggest enemies running entire countries. The Taliban in Afghanistan and Al-Qaeda in Syria. And Libya is one of the biggest slave trafficking countries in the world.
Because it's a failed state. Because we came, we saw, he died. Right, Hillary? You fucking cunt. I'm not, dude. I don't know. I don't know if our listeners have noticed. I hope they have. I've turned over a new leaf. It's Trump's America. I'm saying what the fuck I want.
It's Trump's America, baby.
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
I have. In the past, I have. I could be better. And I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
You the people.
Dan's like, I'm not calling every woman a cunt. Just Hillary.
Just Hillary. Yeah, it's like Trump with I didn't call everyone fat and disgusting, just Rosie O'Donnell. I got a few videos from the Kash Patel hearing, right? Which I think it was the biggest circus of all of them. And here's the thing. I'll say this before we get into it. I don't like Kash Patel. And here's the reason why. It doesn't really actually have anything to do with Kash Patel himself. And maybe I shouldn't say that I don't like Kash Patel. I don't like the job Kash Patel does. I'm a libertarian. I think the FBI should be completely dissolved. So I'm probably going to have some issues with Kash Patel going forward here. However, the FBI does still exist, just like I feel about Tulsi Gabbard, just like I feel about RFK.
It does still exist.
Am I any more afraid of Kash Patel than I would be of any other FBI director? Not in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I'd probably say that I'm less afraid of Kash Patel. I think he's a little bit of a cultist on the MAGA side. However, he could prove me wrong because I don't know as much about him as some others do. So I don't want anybody to take that as like a definitive feeling that I'm going to have about Kash Patel moving forward. I just don't like the FBI. So if he dissolves the FBI, that'd be dope. He'd be my favorite FBI director of all time. We are so swamped in videos. I don't even know what this video is. I'm just going to play it, Corey, and we can kind of go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock.
It's Adam Schiff. Oh God, it's Shifty Schiff.
And here you did no diligence to find out whether people you were associating with now the President of the United States in song were convicted of attacking police officers. Is that who we want running the FBI? I want you to turn around. There are Capitol police officers behind you.
Oh, this grandstanding.
Take a look at them right now. Turn around.
No.
I'm looking at you. No, look at them.
No.
I want you to look at them if you can, if you have the courage to look them in the eye, Mr. Patel, and tell them you're proud of what
zombie
you
behind
did.
Schiff.
Tell them you're proud that you raised money off of people that assaulted their colleagues, that pepper sprayed them, that beat them with poles. Tell them you're proud of what you did, Mr. Patel. They're right there. They're guarding you today. Tell
you see what Adam Schiff is doing here. This grandstanding.
What's this thing about a song? Did Kash Patel make a song?
this is the way I understand it. And our listeners, if you know more about it, please.
No, see if you can find the
message us.
Kash Patel rap song.
Yeah, do that, because I don't know a ton about this. All I know is that Kash Patel had shared on some form of social media some video supporting, I want to say was it Capitol Police, Bell? Was it something to do with January 6th? Okay, he's nodding his head. So it was something to do with like, it was like a music video surrounding January 6th and how the crowd of people stormed the Capitol, right? We all know, we've talked about
like
this.
a Tom McDonald song? Like what?
It might have been. Bell's gonna find it for us. But he's
Canadian, which is the funniest fucking thing.
But it's like Adam Schiff is just using the fact that Kash Patel like shared this video and supported it to say that like, oh, I guess you just hate cops now, which is really fucking ironic because now all of a sudden Democrats love cops. They all love cops. Ever since January 6th, Democrats love cops.
Well, the only ones that are really touting that line are the ones who had their asses saved when people were trying to break into the Capitol and kill them.
Right, but
they're like, all right, I guess some of you are good.
What were they doing 6 months before that?
Talking about defunding the cops.
Defund the police. It's like, and you and I have talked about this. The concept of defunding the police is something we mostly agree with. Policing in this country does need to change. But the grandstanding by people like Adam Schiff is disgusting. Bell's looking for the music video now. But even so, it's just this small thing that like, let's go ahead and talk to the FBI. Let's go ahead and talk to cops. Let's see if they're good with Kash Patel. Because we all know, oh, it's nowhere to be found. Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's. Bell said it's nowhere to be found in the group in the group chat here. Yeah, I'm sure it's not.
Every time you try to look it up, it's just videos of him and Adam Schiff.
Right. So yeah, like it's been scrubbed. Somehow it's been scrubbed. I don't know. Either way, like this is just such a grandstandy bullshit. Oh God, Adam Schiff is gross.
Tell him how proud you are.
That's an abject lie, and you know it. I've never.
I never expected his voice to sound like that, by the way.
Enforcement. I've worked with these men and women, as you know,
you
my entire
glorified
life,
it in song,
and I did not make a single dime out of it.
In song. Well, let me.
How about you ask them if I have their backs, and let's see about that.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Patel. Let me ask you this: if an FBI director promoted a song of people who sprayed pepper spray in the face of an FBI agent, would you say they were fit to be director?
Mr. Schiff?
Yes or no? Would they be fit to be director?
I am fit to be the director of the FBI.
If you were the FBI director and you promoted a song with someone who beat an FBI agent with a pole, would you say you were fit to be FBI director?
Mr. Schiff, I am fit to be FBI director based on my 16 years in government service.
And yet you did all these things, Mr. Patel. You can say, oh, I support law enforcement. I decry violence against law enforcement. You could say all that. It's what you did, Mr. Patel, that matters. It's what you did that matters. Well, let me ask you about something else that you did, Mr. Patel. Did you claim that Donald Trump declassified all the documents at Mar-a-Lago? Did you claim that?
In what proceeding?
To the public, ever. Did you tell anyone that Donald Trump declassified all the documents at Mar-a-Lago?
From publicly available information, President Trump issued a declassification order on a variety of materials.
No, I'm just asking you, did you tell the public, did you tell anyone, did you make the claim that Donald Trump had declassified those hundreds of classified documents that were at Mar-a-Lago? Did you make that claim publicly?
From my best of my recollection, I said President Trump issued a declassification order to a large number of documents.
Yeah, and were you present when he declassified all the Mar-a-Lago documents?
Senator, I'm not saying he declassified all the Mar-a-Lago documents. I said President Trump declassified a large number of documents, and I would hope this committee and the rest of Congress would want to get those documents to the American people.
Mr. Patel, before a president or anyone declassified documents, wouldn't you want to know?
Kash didn't handle this great.
Whether making them public would cause sources to be killed? Wouldn't you want to know that before you just declare they're all declassified? Wouldn't that be the responsible thing for a president to do?
It was the responsible thing for us to do. That's why we declassified the Nunes memo.
And did Donald Trump
And no one
declassify-
died.
And did Donald Trump
He said no
ever
one died.
ask any of the agencies who
always
produced
do
those
this.
documents whether declassifying them would put people's lives at risk? Did he ever do that to your knowledge, Kash Patel?
I don't know that he didn't. Do you?
No, that's the
That's
problem.
the problem.
Isn't it?
Fuck off.
That's the problem, isn't it? So let me just ask.
I have so
Mr.
many
Chairman,
qualms with the
if you would, Mr.
FBI
Patel,
that,
and say
like,
is no problem.
when it comes down to like the person being put in charge of it, it's like, I don't know.
That's my whole point too. Like I'm not gonna like Kash Patel simply because of the job that he does. But yeah. So I'm with you on that. This is almost over. We got like I don't know, 30 seconds
He
left.
would support the release of his grand jury testimony in that case. I would ask you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, to join me in requesting, with Mr. Patel's approval, the release of those grand jury transcripts. And I would also ask Mr. Patel whether you support the release of Volume 2 as it pertains to you.
Oh, Electric
of
Boogaloo?
the Special Counsel's report.
Volume
Any
2,
reference
Electric
to
Boogaloo.
you in the report, to your truthfulness, will you support the release to this committee of those sections of Volume 2 of Special Counsel's report?
I support following the law and providing whatever information the law requires.
But you said to the Wall Street Journal that you support transparency. Here's your chance, Mr. Patel. You support release of that to this committee, yes or no?
He just said he did.
Your time's up.
He like that's oh god, that is what drives me nuts about so much of this grandstanding. He said what I support releasing whatever the law requires or whatever the fuck he just said, but it's this bullshit that they do. They did it with RFK, they did it with Tulsi, they did it with Kash Patel. They have to have them say the exact verbiage that they want them to say, right? You look back to Tulsi Gabbard. Are you not saying that Edward Snowden is a traitor? Like they have to get the exact verbiage. Kash Patel answered the question.
Yeah.
He said he was willing to release whatever the law requires. And by the way, he also said to go look at the grand jury testimony about the classified documents, which by the way is public information. And so they did this silly thing. It wasn't in this video, and I don't think we have it. I don't remember if it was Schiff or who it was, but they kept doing this silly thing of like wanting him to like say certain things from that grand jury testimony. And Kash Patel actually had pretty good answers for that, where he was like, listen, it was over the course of like 14 fucking days. I don't remember exactly what I testified to. I don't remember exactly what I said, as nobody would over being questioned that amount of time. So he says, yeah, the grand jury testimony is available. Take a look at it. Release it to the American people. I don't have anything to hide. I think that's a good answer. I'm sorry to say, for people that don't like Kash Patel, that's a good answer.
I just don't like the FBI.
Well, me neither, but we're dealing in reality here, Corey. Don't be too libertarian. We lost Bell. I don't know where he went. He said shit's getting wild and left.
Yeah, he had to go.
I gotta go.
Finally, I would just say we need to think about where we are in this moment. We have a new president. He's fired prosecutors who investigated him. He's investigating other prosecutors, or his Department of Justice is. He's fired inspector generals who might hold him accountable.
Oh, God.
And this is just the start.
Adam Schiff's the worst.
And as FBI director nominee, he's chosen someone whose primary qualification, in my view, is his willingness to say yes when everyone else would say no.
You're fired. Get out of here.
To say whatever he wanted, to do whatever he wanted. That's why he is sitting here. I mean, look at the people who held that job before Mr. Patel.
Oh, great
The
people.
stature
All
of
of
the
them.
people that held that job. The qualifications of the people that held that job. And how can any of us think that his background, his qualifications hold a candle to the people who went before him? How did we get here where we are defending a nominee like this? Who makes...
I love that question.
How did we get here?
How
It's
did
right.
we get
No,
here?
How did we get here? It's because
of you, not you, Corey, but Adam
yeah,
Schiff.
of the bullshit peddling that the Democrats and Republicans have done for years and years and years and years, to the point where the system has hit a tipping point to where, like we said, Trump with his vote of desperation by a large swath of Americans just because it was something different. And with that comes decisions like Kash Patel.
So I'll ask you this, Corey, because I don't know the answer to it. Maybe you don't either. In fact, I don't know that anybody knows the answer to this. Do you really think that these people sitting in this place, people like Adam Schiff, people like Nancy Pelosi, do you think they really don't understand how we got here?
They're so
Are they faking it?
I feel like that. No, I don't think they're faking it. I don't think this is a porno. They're so insulated. They're so insulated in like their groupthink that they don't know what the American people are thinking. They don't
Mitch
know.
McConnell's included in that group, by the way.
Mitch McConnell. Yeah. AOC, Dan Crenshaw fell into that fold really, really, really fast, and they're younger. Like, yeah, they forgot what it's like to grocery shop. They forgot what it's like to work a 40-an-hour week job where you're barely making ends meet. They forgot what it's like not to be able to afford buying a house.
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
Balance a credit card and all the bills when the furnace breaks. They don't know any of that shit. Like they're insulated, so they don't understand how on the outside of this bubble we get to the point where we have a Kash Patel running for FBI director.
That's all I have, Corey. I don't have any more videos. We're 2 hours in. You got any closing remarks?
I did not serve for the Marines. Again, Gemini AI for some reason when you look me up and you look up our podcast.
Oh nope! Wait a minute. We have to end with this. I have one more video. We cannot forget about the bingo video.
Okay, you find that video, but I really need to reiterate that ChatGPT for some reason thinks I served in the Marines, but I in fact did not.
Does it say that about you specifically?
Yeah, that it says you had a background in finance.
I must come off as pretty smart then to ChatGPT if that's the case. And you just come off as a dumb fucking Marine. You're just a dumb jarhead to ChatGPT.
Yeah, Gemini, when asked about Libservative podcast overview, our buddy Steve, listener of the show, said, "Tell me more about the hosts." And it says, the hosts of the Libservative podcast are Dan Griffin and Corey Walsh. Dan Griffin is known for his background in finance and his outspoken political views.
Well, that's
Corey
true.
Walsh is a former Marine and has a background in law enforcement. Both hosts are known.
It's trying to paint us as right wingers. Like, I'm in finance, you're in the military, right?
Both hosts are known for their strong personalities and their willingness to express their opinions, often in a provocative and unconventional manner. That part's
everything
true.
Everything was correct except our backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like, that was it.
Yeah, again, I did not. You listening, Gemini? I did not serve in the Marines.
I definitely
have no background in law enforcement.
And I definitely have a background in finance.
You sure about that?
You sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
Colleagues, I created a cash bingo card that I have available to any of my colleagues who would like it on the other side of the aisle.
That's Tim Kennedy.
Some may view this as an unserious caricature and not appropriate for this committee. Sadly, I consider it a serious caricature of what I expect to be witnessed today. I think we'll have words like enemies list and deep state. I've already X'd out 4 boxes in the opening statements alone. The fact of the matter is, some people will be here to simply substantiate a false narrative. Colleagues.
Oh, it's restarting. That is so awesome that fucking Tim Kennedy created a fucking bingo card because he knew what a circus Kash Patel's confirmation hearing was going to be. I love what he said there because he's like, oh, some people are going to consider this a ridiculous caricature, but like, that's what these hearings are. They're circuses. And these people that are asking the questions of the nominees are the clowns. The clown show comes out. Adam Schiff being the lead clown when it comes to questioning Kash Patel. Understand this is a joke. This whole thing is a joke. We talked about it, and we talked about it at length, and we made fun of it a lot, but some people take this shit seriously. And honestly, I guess this is how I'll close out, Corey, and if you have anything else to say, you can. The confirmations as we sit here on Saturday morning, unless something has changed, February 1st, the confirmations of Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. appear to be in jeopardy. And you have to ask yourself why that is, because this has never been an issue before. The president gets all of his confirmations. It's just basically an American institution at this point. For some reason, this one is different. Why is that? Is it because Donald Trump is a fascist? Is it because he's Hitler? No, I don't think that's why.
No,
I think it's because these
they're
people are
outsiders.
a threat to the establishment. They're a threat to the establishment. Keep that in mind. That's all I got. Sorry.
Sorry, that's all I got.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't.
Thank you,
No, I
Selena.
think it's because Donnie's out of his element.
You got anything to close with, or do you want to tell the people where they could find us, or do both? I don't care. It's all you know. Fair enough. Good night, everybody.
Libservative Podcast is part of all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't
And
think he knows what he said either.
obviously, if you found us through TikTok, make sure to follow us and share some of the videos with friends. We are like 8. I know, and it's such a small number for 100 followers. We are like 8. We are like 8 followers away from being able to go live on TikTok, and then I want to have a lot of fun with that and just do spitball and just talking to people.
Making it brand new. Tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Word of mouth. Bell the Body Snatcher, who left us, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes ago. He had to take a shit or something. He's gone. He was on the ones and twos all day. As always, he has been Corey Walsh.
He's Stan Griffin.
It's been Libservative. And until next time, we are...
You're fired. Get out of here.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We the people cannot turn back. Somebody must leave, or else the fight would not be made at all.